Things are heating up in the crypto market right now. It seems like alt season is slowly but surely approaching. I think we're about to see some crazy returns on some specific altcoins. I'm going to talk about why and what I see happening in the crypto market over the next few weeks and months, as well as talk about 4 or 5 altcoins that I have been accumulating over the last few weeks during these dips that I think can see crazy returns over the next few months. So with that said, if you enjoy the content, smash a like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me over on Twitter. With that said, this is not financial advice. Now let's dive straight into it. First of all, taking a look at this tweet, basically Altcoinist retweeted it. If you don't follow Altcoinist, definitely follow them. I met the guys behind that account here in Dubai last week during Token 2049. Amazing team. They have tons of alpha to share over on their Twitter, so definitely check them out. I will link them down below. But basically, historically speaking, the halving marks the beginning of the Bitcoin dominance turnaround. By reflex, this means that altcoins start to sensibly outperform Bitcoin. And obviously the Bitcoin halving happened only like 5-6 days ago when this video goes live, which normally means that alt season is about to happen and altcoins are about to outperform Bitcoin. Taking a look at this chart, back in the 2018 bull run, this was the start of alt season right here. Bitcoin dominance was at around 95% and it went all the way down to around 35%, which is obviously a crazy outperformance by altcoins compared to Bitcoin. And then at the start of the 2021 altcoin season, we saw Bitcoin dominance sitting at almost 75%, 73.72% to be specific, and it went all the way down to around 38% again. And right now, as we speak, Bitcoin dominance topped out at around 60%. I think it was like 58 point something percent. And if history were to repeat itself, we could see this being the peak of the Bitcoin dominance and it fall back down towards 38%. And if that were to happen, it basically means that altcoins are about to absolutely send it, especially since I think the market in general, including Bitcoin, will do really well over the next few months. But altcoins specifically, I think are just gonna outperform Bitcoin quite heavily. And it's basically the same thesis as my friend CryptoinsightUK. Definitely follow him on Twitter. He shares a lot of good macro and crypto alpha. Basically, he was talking about how Bitcoin dominance was falling through resistance as we speak. Could it be? And he basically shared the same graph as I was talking about earlier with alt season back in 2018, alt season back in 2021, and how this is what alt season this year could very possibly look like. Now you may ask, why would this even matter? Well, to give you a quick reminder, if we take a look back in 2021, these are some of the returns we saw on altcoins during alt season. Doge basically went up close to 10x in a single day in January 2021. Theta went from 1 billion market cap to $12 billion market cap in 3 months. Rune went from 200 mil to almost 5 billion in 5 months. We saw, for example, Gala reach a market cap of $5.4 billion at its peak, while it was at only 5 million at the start of the year. So these are some of the crazy returns, multiple 10x's, even 100x's during alt season back in 2021. And if we were to see similar returns this alt season, things could become absolutely crazy. Now this is the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin. So basically the market cap of all the altcoins. Looking back in 2021, this is what the graph looked like, slowly but surely creeping up until it absolutely exploded right here. And if we look at the graph right now, it could seem like we are at a similar level as right here, potentially even right here. So let's say right now we are at a similar level as we was back here in 2021. From that level, altcoins, the total altcoin market cap went on basically a 573% pump, which is almost a 7x in return. And to add on top of all of those things, it might also seem like DXY, the US dollar index, might be forming a local high right here and could retrace up to 3.6% to reach these levels down here, which normally is a great sign for crypto. Once the US dollar becomes weaker, crypto normally pumps. And it does seem like the DXY is topping right here and it could see a decent retracement over the next few months. And if you think that's all, well, you're wrong, because today we also got the news that the Hong Kong spot Bitcoin ETF will begin trading on April 30th. So basically in less than a week from now, the Hong Kong Bitcoin ETF will go live. We saw what happened in the US once the Bitcoin ETF went live, over $12 billion in inflows. It basically pumped the Bitcoin price from like 40K all the way up to 70K. Now there's probably not as much money in Hong Kong, but we could easily see a few billion billion in inflows into Bitcoin once this ETF goes live, which could send Bitcoin close to $80,000 in my opinion. And if we keep in mind that altcoins are very likely to be outperforming Bitcoin over the next few months, that would mean that altcoins are about to absolutely send it. Now you might be wondering, what specific altcoins am I personally looking at? What have I been buying these last few weeks? Well, let's take a look at 4 very interesting coins at different market caps so you can get into whichever one you feel comfortable with. Now, first up, we have Spacemesh or SMH. I have been talking about this project previously on the channel. I featured it on the channel for the first time back here at around $1.8. And from $1.8, it did go all the way up to 6.6, which is over a 3x return, but it has now retraced quite significantly of about 65%, which is why I am now accumulating pretty heavily back into Spacemesh. It is slowly but surely becoming one of my biggest bags. It is a layer 1 protocol using a very interesting consensus mechanism called proof of space-time, and the Spacemesh virtual machine is being designed by one of the previous core developers over on Ethereum who helped develop the Ethereum virtual machine as well. They have a stacked team and they have a lot of interesting things coming up. The market cap right now is about $70 million. And right now, as you can see, it is trading in this range right here where there seems to be quite a lot of liquidity, basically between $2.5 and 1.8. There is a lot of liquidity. So I could see Spacemesh potentially go all the way down to 1.8, but I have already started accumulating because I think the more likely outcome is for Spacemesh to form a local bottom around $2.1 and slowly but surely creep back up towards all-time highs. And if that were to happen, I think we could go all the way up to around $8. We saw this first pump up to $4, big retracement, an even larger pump, big retracement. And if that were to happen again, which I think is pretty likely, we could potentially see it reach $8 to $9 in price in just a few months. So that is my thesis. That is why I'm going pretty heavily into Spacemesh. And in addition to that, May is supposed to be a pretty big month for Spacemesh. If you don't know, the only places you can basically buy it right now is SafeTrade and xt.com. If you want to buy it, I recommend you do XT because that is the bigger exchange and that's also where Spacemesh has more liquidity, so it makes it easier to trade Spacemesh on XT. I'm not affiliated in any way, by the way, but this is their rough roadmap, and in May it says that it's their big listing and launch month where they will do launch marketing as well as list on up to 3 tier 2 exchanges. Right now they're obviously only listed on tier 3 exchanges. Tier 2 exchanges would mean exchanges like MEXC, KuCoin, Gate.io, etc., which would make it so much easier to buy this project, would get a lot of eyes on the project, and would get a whole new group of people buying the project, which is why I think Spacemesh has a ton of upside over the next few months and is, as I said, slowly but surely becoming one of my biggest bags. Now I did also want to feature Bittensor, which has seen a pretty large dip from around $730 all the way down to $477. Obviously Bittensor is like the biggest AI token in the crypto space right now. I think it will continue to be one of the biggest AI tokens for quite a while. Still has a lot of eyes on it, still gets tons of volume, and I think Bittensor can easily reach like $1,500 or $2,000. Obviously the market has been retracing over the last few weeks, which is why Bittensor is now at only $477. But also the Nvidia stock, Nvidia obviously the leading AI stock on the market, has been absolutely exploding this past year, but over the last few months it has retraced almost 15%, which means that a lot of the AI crypto tokens has also retraced even more than some of these other altcoins. So I think Bittensor could be a pretty good purchase at these prices. Obviously if you want a less risky play than something like Spacemesh, because Bittensor is already at a $3 billion market cap, so it probably doesn't have as large of an upside as something like Spacemesh. But if you want a bit of a less risky one, I think Bittensor is a pretty solid buy at these prices. Now I also wanted to talk about QUBIC. QUBIC is a similar protocol as Bittensor, a layer 1 useful proof of work powered network aiming to achieve true AI with true finality and high-speed smart contract execution. They're one of the quickest blockchains out there right now, which obviously is a pretty big deal for a blockchain. They're about to launch their first DEX on their own blockchain, which is also a big deal, basically allowing DeFi on QUBIC. And QUBIC is also only listed on exchanges like safe trade. This is where I buy it and probably the best place to buy it, not affiliated at all. But this is what the chart looks like. We saw a huge pump back here, small retracement, gigantic pump right here, and from the all-time highs, QUBIC has also seen basically a 60% retracement, and this area is where I am looking to buy right now. As you can see, it is currently trading at this peak back here, as well as this area with lows of liquidity. So my thesis is that QUBIC will form a bottom around these levels and start trading up towards all-time highs again. I think QUBIC definitely will reach all-time highs. Obviously not financial advice, but I'm pretty heavy in QUBIC as well. Super interesting protocol. It also has a stacked team. The founder has tons of experience and big connections, and I assume once they start marketing and getting listed on different exchanges, this one will absolutely fly, because it is already at $500 million market cap, but I still think it has a lot of upside, could still pull a few X's in return for sure, in my opinion. So I highly recommend you check out QUBIC as well if you haven't already. Obviously the links to all these projects I'm talking about will be down below in the description. Now lastly, I want to give you some alpha on a project that hasn't even launched yet, which is Mopheus AI, basically building a network for smart agent builders to deploy their code and get rewarded. This is a super hyped up project that isn't even live yet, so you're getting this alpha pretty early on. Basically the only way to earn Mopheus tokens right now is to stake Ethereum on their chain, and you can passively earn some of their tokens before they launch. I'm personally not doing it. I will just be keeping a very close eye on this project once it launches. Basically, it goes live on May 8th, so in like 2 weeks from now. Highly recommend you to check out this project further, do a little deep dive on it. It's a super interesting AI project that already has a big community and a lot of hype around it. So once it launches on May 8th, if it does launch at a pretty fair valuation, I will probably be looking to buy this project as well. None of this is sponsored, but this is just a super interesting project that I recently came across that I'm keeping a close eye on. And obviously I wanted to give you this alpha early on so that you can get in at the same price that I will get in once it launches on May 8th. So those are the 4 altcoins I'm looking into right now, buying quite heavily into QUBIC and Spacemesh at the moment. But essentially, the market looks primed for a crazy altcoin season. If it were to happen, you need to be positioned accordingly. Obviously not financial advice, but with the Hong Kong spot Bitcoin ETF around the corner and the market in general looking pretty healthy right now, I think things are about to become pretty crazy in the market. If you enjoy these sorts of videos, smash a like and subscribe to my channel. The links to all these projects are down below in the description if you want to check them out further. Obviously, highly recommend you to do your own research before investing into any of this. It's not financial advice. Make sure to follow me over on Twitter. I will be sharing a lot of information on there before I'm able to do it here on YouTube. Check out my Discord, check out my Telegram down below. Check out Altcoinist and CryptoinsightUK, 2 really good profiles. I will link them down below as well. With that said, hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.